Hello. All right, today let's talk about clarity, focus, and whatever else. This is basically just a status update. I felt like talking and felt like I had good things to say because I'm having some good feelings, and I felt like it was important to document this. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get this set up. I am driving. Phone is now in my lap, so I'll try and speak clearly, slowly, as to be understood. So again, feeling pretty good today. It's kind of cloudy, overcast, and dreary, so having a feeling as I'm having today, which is on the positive side. Very little negative stimulus coming my way, and it's pretty much what I wanted to talk about is everything that I've studied, everything I've worked for is an understanding of how we perceive, how we live, understand, enjoy, if we can, life. And I've made a lot of progress from my own personal perspective, which I think is applicable to most people out there. And I'm anxious, as I have been for years and years now, to share what I know, what I've learned, what I've come across, what I've determined to be truth for me, which, as I also have stated and truly believe, truth is relative to the individual. So you can take it or leave it. This is my truth, and it could be yours as well, should you choose to accept that. So, the bulk of what I believe, my philosophy, my system of living and understanding and interpersonal reality hasn't really changed. But some of the details have become more clear in recent months. And it seems like I've had a period of more things coming into focus, having more clarity about more things, and seeing details that I didn't even know existed. Obviously, the whole doesn't change very much. That's an easy given, and you can adjust and change and manipulate your perceptions of your whole existence. It's when you get into the finer details, and then you find even more finer details underneath that, and you realize how much impact some of those really minute details have on your day-to-day life. So I recently went to the NARP convention, and my phone keeps falling off of my lap here. I'm trying to keep the car on the road while I'm trying to keep the phone from falling on the floor. So anyway, the NARP convention, which I was exposed to 3 different speakers, all very profound, very motivational, but had different takes on some things that, I think about on a daily basis. And since my goal is to ultimately do what they do, to get paid to talk about what I've learned, what I've come to understand, how I live my life, basically just to talk about me. That's the goal. I want to get paid to talk about myself. Who wouldn't love that? So I listened to them. I took their perceptions, and I really broke them down, and I'm obviously very critical about what other people have to say because I feel that my way is the best way, but what they had to say and the way they presented it was really in line, very similar to what I have to say. Not much different. And I think that just reinforces the fact that although truth is individual or relative to the individual, as a collective consciousness, our truth is shifting along with everything else. And the mass majority of people alive today, whether they accept it or not, have a consciousness that's drifting in the same direction. And I think that's the same with any collective. It tends to move in waves, and it tends to move in in sync with everybody else. There's going to be some forces and some consciousness that's going to be counterintuitive. It's going to fight the curve. It's going to try to provide contrast, and again, a very base function, a very base principle of my reality is contrast, and the way we experience life, and having a contrast available, a duality, so you can see two different sides, so that you can, I guess, enjoy or not enjoy whatever it is you're doing. But that's for another day. And what I want to talk about now is just this period that I've gone into my life, and I've gone through, and I really talked about this during the last time I recorded, and it's about cycles and living in cycles in your life, and recognizing those cycles and taking advantage of the expansion, the upswing, the forward momentum, and suffering through, if you want to use that term, the points where it's more restricted, where it seems to recess, to contract on itself. And I feel like I went through one of these major life contractions, which lasted quite a long time, and still maintained a lot of my stability. That's the best word I can use for it. And when the moment of contraction was over, when we started shifting back into a cycle of expansion, of forward progress, all the traffic's slowing down because they got another guy pulled over on the side of the road. Ran into that on the way up here. Anyway, more distractions. Anyway, having made it through that contracted period and maintaining without, because you're going to lose something during that, some of the gain that you got, unless you're careful, unless you concentrate and focus heavily on not regressing back with that tide. You could get sucked out to sea and lost, and then when that's part of that cycle is over, then you're going to have to spend time to get back to where you were before that cycle. And I know that's a lot of metaphoric imagery that you're going to have to try and translate into something that means something to you, but it means something to me, and if you're willing to look at it, it's probably could and will mean something to you too. Anyway, it's the basic principle that I'm trying to get across. If you can maintain what you've gained through those slower cycles, or those cycles of recession, when you come back, boom, you can start as soon as the new forward cycle moves, and you're going to have a lot more assets to work with, to build on, to move forward. And I feel like this has been the greatest advancement period for me in my life so far, and I've had some pretty significant ones. And part of what I'm going through, and I'm sure it's a part of my own personal evolution, it's part of how I wired myself before I was even born, but it's my understanding of myself and my understanding of reality creation. And even though I've had some very general broad strokes that I have added some details to over the years, which have truly enhanced the way I live my life and the way I enjoy my life, there's certain things that I have just granted as that's the way it is, that's the way I am. And it wasn't until I sat through one of these lectures, one of these speakers, however you want to categorize them, and I know his name was Jason. I cannot remember what it was, leadership or anything. Anyway, he was talking about making changes in his life, and a lot of it was, I felt right in line with my belief system. I was like, yeah, he's exactly right. I was basically giving him validity in my mind. I was saying, yeah, you know what, you're doing good, nice job, but you're not telling me anything I don't know. But he made this mention that one of the things that he had to conquer was the constant stating or belief system about yourself of that's just the way it is, or that's just the way I am, and accepting that, because there's a lot of things about myself that I have just accepted that, well, this is the way it is, this is where I am, and the trick is to understand it and understand why am I like this, what purpose does it serve, and then let it serve that purpose, and try not to let it bother you. And when he started talking about changing that in himself, it really kind of opened up something inside myself where I was like, you know what? That's worth looking into. There are things out there like the sun rises every day. That's just granted. Every day you're going to say, all right, the sun is going to rise today. But if all the other theories hold true, which they have, I believe they have tremendous validity, that we create the world around us, then some things that we accept as profound daily truths in ourselves and say, that's just the way I am, that's just the way it is, might have some flexibility in them. And when I started toying with that, manipulating some of my core, I guess, psychological issues would be the best way to term them for someone else to understand that's not inside my head and looking at the same thing I am. Once I gave some credibility to that possibility, things started to change, and I started to advance even more. Now, there's some other things that kind of have coincided with this, which I have to give some kind of mention to, because they may very well have contributed to this. I put a lot of thought and time and effort into trying to maintain a healthy life. I want to enjoy as much as life as possible. And I don't know if I have mentioned this before, but it's been on my mind for the past couple of months. While I have experienced numerous periods, times, and experiences that are happy to me, I have the ability, the capacity to be happy, and I strive to be happy, and I very rarely in my life have ever experienced joy. I mean, true joy. And there's a difference. And I don't know from anybody else's perspective if they will understand that and accept that, but there is a difference. In my reality, there's a difference. And there's a difference between the joy and happiness. Happiness, very easily attainable most of the time, but some of my psychological issues deter me from being happy. And some of my psychological issues deter me from experiencing joy. And it's my obsessive compulsive nature to analyze and study everything at all times. If I'm awake, I'm studying what I'm doing, what affects, and it's really hard to experience joy when you're in a constant state of analyzation of the things around you. But, and this is where it comes in, that's just who I am. That's what I am. So joy and peace, both, are things that I don't experience very often, have not experienced very often in my life. I'm very appreciative of when they do come along. But I've accepted for a long time in my life that that's just the way I am, that's who I am. And experiencing and enjoying peace and joy in my life are not something that I am set up to do. And I started to question that. And when I started to question that, different things started to happen. Some of my hang-ups, some of my, especially my anxiety issues, my stress issues have diminished. And again, this is where I have to mention what my diet and trying to live a happy life, because there's all kinds of things that you can do to manipulate your existence. And right now I take supplements, I work out, I've been dieting, I've been counting calories, and I don't even know if I've mentioned that, but it's made a big impact on my life at this point in my life, and really bolstered that whole moving forward, because I'm doing things and I'm seeing results, and there is a huge motivational thing in life. The actual ability to see the result of your actions is huge, because it makes you move forward. It's hugely motivational. So I recently, because my wife found this supplement online, and we take a lot of different supplements to help enhance our life and our health and our ability to be happy, got me on, well, both of us. She got it for herself, and I started taking it because what the hell, it's not going to hurt. It's something called Holy Basil, and it is supposed to help reduce and help you manage stress and the effects of stress on your body. So, coincidence? Who knows? But I've been taking that for about as long as, about the same time I went to the NARPM convention, which is when I started to make changes in some of my perceptions that I didn't even realize were able to be changed. And I've had a period of now since all of this, and since I've started to identify it, recognize it, acknowledge it, and accept it, and that's a big part too, accepting it, because you may believe something, you may think, yes, this is great, I'm 100% behind that, but you may have doubts, and that doubt is going to limit how much effect that belief is going to benefit your life. And it's getting over those doubts and beginning to accept those things that is going to help foster those along. So with all of that said, the change in my perception, the change in my approach, and my understanding of some of my base natures has brought me to this point where I've had a huge reduction in the amount of anxiety in my life. And anxiety for me sometimes is crippling. I mean, and I don't really want to talk about that because I don't want to sound like I'm whining or complaining about it. That's why I've avoided talking about it most of my life. But it's something that it affects a lot of people, and a lot of people let it cripple them and ruin their lives. And it really has disrupted a lot of my life. And from what I'm seeing right now and what I've experienced in the past few weeks is, I think I've let it really destroy my capacity to feel peace and joy for the bulk of my life. And now I'm starting to see that it's possible to change that and see some of the benefits of that. It's really realigned my perception and my perspective of life as far as contrast and the ability to feel joy and happiness and pain, and the necessity for discomfort or pain or depression, sadness as a contrasting force. So I'm really excited about where I think I'm going to end up taking this, and the possibilities this is going to lead to in my life, and the possibilities it's going to lead to as far as me sharing it with other people. So that's the whole reason for this impromptu. I was driving down the highway on my way back to the office and decided I really needed to talk about this session, and now that I'm sitting in the parking lot at work, and I really kind of think I've covered everything that I really wanted to say, although I'd love to sit here and just spout on and on and on in detail about myself, everything that's going on, the reasons why I'm here and how I've gotten to this point. One other side note, I noticed, again, I've said I've been counting calories, I've been monitoring what I've been putting into my body and manipulating it in an effect to basically alter my image and alter my physical weight. And although the loss of weight was not the original motivating factor, the original motivating factor was to see if I could make a difference. There was really nothing other than that. But once I started to make a difference, I liked what the difference was. So it motivated me to continue to move on. So now I'm months into this. I don't even know. I'm not going to break it down, but I'm nearly 40 pounds lighter than I was when this whole situation of losing weight came about. And I'm very happy with the way I look, even though I wasn't trying to make more happiness in my life by altering my appearance. I was trying to see if I could do something just for the sake of doing it. It had a result, and that result has had a positive effect on my appreciation of my own image in my body. And that's great because it's helped with everything else too, as far as motivating me to move forward with all of these things. But one of the things, as much as I have resisted this and fought this, one of the core concepts of making a difference and being successful in life is writing down your goals. And I've constantly steered away from that. I live in my own mind. I'm going to make everything work from my own mind. Writing something down physically is not going to make a difference in how I achieve things, how I reach goals, and how I live my life. And I've resisted that my whole life. You will never see me in a meeting with a pen and a piece of paper writing down notes unless it's some critical information that I need to be able to follow up and do something. I count on my memory to retain anything that's presented to me that I deem important and count on it being there when I need to apply it or use it. And I have no need, so I have convinced myself to write something down to help me to get it done. So in doing all this, I started playing with some fitness apps and walking step trackers and calorie counters and stuff. But one of the things I had on there was there's a weight input thing where you can track your weight. And once I started to lose weight, I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how much I'm losing and how quickly I'm losing it. And I put in a goal, which I didn't put it in because, hey, I'm going to set this goal because I want to make this goal. I knew eventually I was going to get there no matter what, but I put it in there just because I wanted to see it in the app. That's part of that obsessive compulsive nature that I have, to see things in their details. I like numbers. I like to see the difference in numbers. As much as I hate math, I love math. So I liked seeing the numbers change on a daily basis, and it really gave no thought to the fact that I had put in a goal just because I had to put in something to be able to get the app to work. And I've lost more consistently since I put that goal in than I have since I started. And not as a total, I haven't lost more since I put that goal in than I have the entire time, but I've lost it more consistently over a period of time than I have before that. So then that led me to give credibility to the idea of writing down goals. Just as and it makes sense, taking a thought and giving it physical realness, I guess, I don't even know if that's a word, but putting it out there so that you can see it, taking it from a conscious thought to a physical, verifiable, there it is right there, fact. I wrote this down, here it is, anybody can see it. I believe in theory pulls weight. For me, I felt like it wasn't necessary because I was able to be just as efficient without doing it, but I have noticed a difference, which made me think, well, where do I want to go in life? I've the last couple of weeks, last 7 to 10 days, have overcome a lot of my anxiety and stress issues. And this may be, again, this is all exploratory, it's all experimental, so that's where I'm at, but it's added validity to that belief for me. So I'm like, great, let's see where I can take this farther. Can I eliminate those things from because I don't like those periods, I hate those periods, but I felt that they were necessary to achieve other things and to have a contrast to when I did feel good. But now I'm starting to see that maybe I don't need that much contrast. I don't need to experience that much pain and discomfort to enjoy a nice day. So I'm altering that combative duality. I'm trying to eliminate the need for severe contrast to achieve happiness. And so far it's working, and I like that. So I sat down. I didn't even sit down. I did it, I think, at the football game last night. I opened my Google Plus page and I wrote down goals in one of my entries. And nobody sees my Google Plus page. It's for me only. It's out there in case somebody ever wants to find it and come across it. But it's one of those things that I put out in the universe that nobody's seen, but it's there in case somebody stumbles across it. But I put down, and I really tried to make it simple. I tried to simplify this whole process. Property management has been good to me. It has given me more in the last 4 years than any other career choice, anything else in my life. But it drives me crazy. It creates huge amounts of stress and anxiety and depression and anger and frustration, and because it's how I, up until now, viewed I needed to handle things. So again, that's a topic for another discussion, but I wrote down what do I want to do, and I've known for a long time that I want to be that person that's standing up in front of a group of people that's giving my understanding of the world and how I live my life and having to make an impact on other people. And so I just put down real quick. I just put down goals, equals, and then put down. I don't even remember what I put down. To be recognized as the authority, which means I want to be given more validity and credibility for my thoughts than anybody else out there. I want people to view what I have to say as the most important thing, which I think is the key characteristic of any true visionary. They feel like I am experiencing this, I am presenting this, I have come up with this because it has value, it has importance, and it could make a difference anywhere and everywhere. And I want to be recognized and acknowledged as that authority. So that was goal number 1. Goal number 2, to lecture, which was this most simple way to stay. I want to speak, I want to tell, I want to present what I know to other people. And 3, I want to receive compensation for it. I want to make an abundant, more than abundant living doing that. And so I put it out there. It's in writing, it's on the internet, it's somewhere I can see it. I don't know if anybody else can stumble across it or not, because I've got it really set on a private setting, but I believe anybody that is a friend or listed in my group of friends or circle of friends on Google would be able to come across it. And so it's there. So now I'm curious to see where that's going to lead. So anyway, this ended up being longer than I had anticipated talking, and I need to get inside because I have other things I need to do, and I gotta take care of those things. So that's it.